Oh, it's much warmer today. It's October 21st, only a day later. Unfortunately, we got rain moving in, but at least the temperature ended up getting milder. So I'm going to take that table off today. I think the easiest way to attack this is going to be for me to do it the same way that I took the table off that Brown & Sharp #2 horizontal mill that I ended up scrapping. And what I did in that situation was I brought the loader bucket on the tractor up really close and used it as a table. That basically, if you don't have a loader, you can either get a couple of really beefy guys to help you do this, or you can build a table up to the approximate exact height of what the saddle is at and slide it off onto that table. But then you still get the problem of moving it from that down to the ground or whatever. So I'm just going to use the loader bucket as the table. That's close enough because I'm going to put a block of wood under there. Getting tight down this end here. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen the jib. Now, adjusting the jib on this table involves 2 Allen screws. One screw is the adjustment screw, and the other screw is a locking screw. So you're supposed to loosen the locking screw first, then adjust the jib with the adjusting screw, and then relock the other screw. I don't remember which is which because I just read it recently in the manual, and not recently enough that I remember it. But for my purposes today, I'm just going to loosen both of them. I'm betting that's the locking screw. These are both pretty loose, actually. Once I got the mill set up downstairs, that was going to be one of the first orders of business I was going to do. That cleaning and lubrication was to check the jibs. Keith Rucker's page, he's got a 847 mil index mill. He's the one of the major reasons why I decided to go back and buy this mill, based on watching his video. But he has a nice video series on how to adjust the jibs. Of course, I'll make my own videos when I end up adjusting these, but I just thought I'd mention it in case somebody's looking for tips on how to do that. He goes over it, does a good job of explaining it. Man, there's no difference. That one's plenty loose. So was this one. Must be just because there's so much weight now. So much of the table weight is off of the saddle that it must be putting a levered force on this thing. So I'm going to start the loader, and I'm going to got about 1/4 of an inch there. I can lift that. Moving very slow. Put the loader up too high, I think. I was putting upward pressure on that end of the table, which was binding it. Now I'm back to the situation I just had before, which is, oh, this is a little better. Oh, stuck again. That's as far as it'll reach into the loader right now. Yes, I'll get in and back the loader up just a smidge. Ooh, didn't realize it backed up that far. I didn't mean to. Uh-oh. Getting dangerously close to the end there. About 1 3/4 inches left on there. It's lighter than I thought it would be. Okay. Next I want to take the knee off. What I don't know yet is whether or not I can take the knee off without taking the knee, this part, off, without taking the saddle, this part, off. My instructions show how to take the saddle off. The manual that I have that I found online. And it doesn't say how to take the knee off. So if I can't figure it out on my own, I'm going to have to call the factory. They've been very helpful. I don't really want to bother them with this if I don't have to. Oh, I see some sort of a retaining plate under here with Allen head cap screws. And I am willing to bet that if I take that plate off, that with the ram moved out of the way and the proper lifting force upward, that I can lift this right up and off of these dovetails. Let's see if I run this saddle forward, if there's anything that gives me a peek down below inside the knee. There's a plate here, but I think I can slide this plate forward if memory serves me. If it's like a lot of the drills. Actually, it slides forward on its own. Now it's basically designed the multi-layer plate that opens up in sections to keep this whole area back here covered and protected the whole time. So no matter how far I run this out, that plate is not coming off or opening. Oh, wait a minute. I think I can cheat it. By holding the plates open while I move the saddle back this way, and then pushing on the plate as I run the saddle back out, I can get this to come out and open further. But it stops. There's something retaining it. Don't know what. The reason why I was hoping this would open back here is because if I look down in there, I might be able to find a good way to put the strap on it to have a good lifting point. I could drop the strap down through the hole and wrap it around the actual whole, this whole casting on one side maybe, and I'll figure a way to do it so that I was pulling straight in the center. And since I don't see that, the temptation is to hook onto the saddle and lift it. But then I'm exerting the entire weight of the knee on this dovetail So that can't be a good idea. Let's go grab the handle for this thing and elevate the table. Got the handle. I think this is the saddle lock. I think this is the off position, but I'm going to take this rod, put it in the next hole over, it just threads in. Now that I've got that really nice, let's see. I had lowered this all the way down on this big 4x4 piece of oak or whatever it is, because I had read that that's the good way. That's a good way to have it when you're traveling or moving it on a trailer or a truck. Apparently, that takes strain off of the elevation screw. Makes sense. I think it's going to be a bad idea to skip the step of taking the saddle off. I think if I take the saddle off, that's going to expose down in here, so that I'll be able to put my lifting strap down around parts of the casting down in there that are really strong. I have to disconnect some of these lines from the one-shot oiling system. Alright, we got a wrench so I can disconnect some of those lines. Okay. Excuse me, I got a mouthful of chocolate. Anyways, according to the manual, I'm supposed to remove the hand wheel, remove the dial, and remove the plate, which I think is probably going to be this. Okay, so the screws are probably behind the hand wheel to take this plate off. Then it says put the hand wheel back on and use the hand wheel to unscrew the lead screw. So I guess this plate is what retains the lead screw, keeps it from moving, and forces the saddle to move instead. It says once the lead screw's been removed, then you have to remove the nut, the lead screw nut, which there's 4 Allen head cap screws here. They hold the nut on. Okay. Then the nut, once that's removed, will allow the saddle to be able to just slide right all the way off, right off the front here. Obviously, the nut would hit on the underside here, up in the front. So that's why the nut's going to come off. But they do warn that the nut may have to be pried away from a couple of pins, apparently, that it's located on. I can actually see one of the pins. So that's the back of one of the pins, and then there's another one under there. You can hardly see it because this fitting for the automatic oiler for that nut is in the way. I think just like the other one, this is supposed to come off as the 2 that were on the table. I think this should be able to slide off as an assembly. It's probably just stuck on here. Certainly don't want to pry. It'll damage the aluminum dial. What if... oh, there's a little plastic washer there. It's interesting. If I took the dial off, I want to make a note. This plastic washer goes on the front. I'm going to put the plastic washer back on here so I don't lose it. I'm going to screw this back on. I wonder if this could stay on here. Maybe they meant just take the outer dial off. Give me access to the screws for this plate. That'd be nice. That's all they meant. Well, this Allen head screw right here barely clears this ring, which makes me think that, yeah, this is supposed to come off of here. It's just being stubborn. I might not be out of the woods yet. This plastic washer's annoying me. Okay. Those 4 screws are out, which if this dial assembly part wasn't still on there, probably let me take this plate right here off. Yeah, see? I won't have to take that off because all I need to do now that this is pulled forward, there are 2 pins that lock in here. Now that it can spin, see the whole saddle just went forward. So now, if I put the handle back on, and I keep screwing this way, I can literally unscrew this lead screw and pull it right out. There's a slot right there for a Woodruff key. Wonder what that was for. Interesting. I wonder if that is where the gear would go for the power feed for the Y-axis option, which I don't have on this mill. I'm getting close. Piece of cake. Let me put this dial back on, put that plastic washer back on, put this back on. And that screw doesn't have any rust on it, and it's nice and oily. Like it. Alright. Next up is going to be the nut. Now, I got an idea. The manual said I might have to pry the nut off of the pins, locking pins. But it occurred to me that if I partway loosen these 2 cap screws and then give a little bit of a tap on them, that should push that nut down. Then, well, then the nut just falls free unless you put your hand in there and get it, which is kind of interesting. Alright, so I don't think I want to unscrew that one any more than that. And then I'll unscrew this one. This ought to be interesting, putting this back in. Alright. Yep, and that's not just going to fall right off. That is stuck on those pins. So, give it a little tap on each one. I think they're going down. Oops. That's the jib. Alright, this big area right here that's machined out for a big wide slot faces up. This small slot's on the bottom down on this side because it engages actually the jib adjusting screw. Oh, dummy. There are 4 screws. I probably said that, didn't I? I probably said there were 4 screws, right? When I go to edit this, I'm going to go, oh, hey, you dummy. Good thing I wasn't hitting that too hard, huh? Yeah, that's already, yeah, I can see it's already wiggling. Yeah, that will just slide and fall free. Fall free. You know what? All of these locking screws are coming out very easily except for this one. This one's tight going. So the question is, by design, did they actually make the tolerance really tight on one of these to give it some self-locking properties? Or did the last person who put this back together, or the factory for that matter if it's never been apart, actually put any thread locking material on this screw? I'm going to say no to the thread locking material. I don't see any evidence of that. The pins actually are staying with the nut and are falling out of the saddle, the locating pins. That's going to make it a little easier to put this back together. Alright, getting very close to this dropping out. So I'm going to see if I can get my hand underneath there. But just big enough for me to stick my hand up in here and grab the nut assembly. And there's the last screw. And now I've got the nut assembly and my hand just came out, but something fell. Now my hand's stuck. Okay, so there we go. And I can tell you right now what fell out is one of the two pins. One of the two locating pins. So I'm probably going to want that. I am going to stick these screws, I'm going to stick the screws in these holes for safekeeping. Of course, I put them down on the table. Got a little bit of swarf on them. Dummy. Now, at this point, you can slide this saddle all the way off, but you will quickly realize you forgot to disconnect your one-shot oiling system lines and promptly rip them off. So, this is where we'll take a little pause in festivities. Loosen up these lines. These should be just compression fittings. Let's see. If I take the nut all the way off, does it come with it? Yeah, and then you get this little, what you got is a little ferrule. You get a little wheel ferrule right here. That's good. Let me show you something on this one-shot oiler. So here's the one-shot oiler, which is a really nice feature to have. Unfortunately, this one's got a broken reservoir. But this company, Bijou, or whatever the heck it is, B-I-J-U-N, I think. Anyways, I already looked it up online. This company's still in business and these parts are still available, so I can get a replacement of one of these housings. This one actually was cracked and glued right over here, or epoxied, and then it looks like they broke it again. Anyways, right here you can see epoxy. So anyways, the way this works is you open this cap up right here and you fill up this reservoir and you pump this handle, and when you pump this handle it lifts the oil out of the reservoir and pumps it up through these lines. And there's a whole little distribution network going on here. This line right here actually goes inside the knee and comes out the other side. Or there's actually a line here going somewhere too. But basically you got, it's oiling these ways right here for the knee, and then it, through this line that I just disconnected, it came up here to the saddle assembly, okay, and it's oiling the ways on top of the knee for the saddle. It's oiling the ways through little channels that are built in here. See, there's the hole. It's oiling the ways on the top here for the table. It oils the table lead screw nut through this nut assembly right here, and the lead screw itself gets oiled by virtue of the fact that it's in there. Here's the other side now. See, that's going to be all, that's going to need, that groove needs to be cleaned out. All that junk's going to be taken out of there. And then you get another fitting over on this side to oil. This one right here is going to oil this top on top of the knee on this side. And then here's where I just disconnected this line right here. Goes over and takes care of the knee, the ways over on this side for the knee. And then also up underneath, I don't think we're going to be able to see it because of the light, but you got a line that comes down and actually oils the elevation screw right here. So that comes down and elevates, oils this elevation screw right there.